Meditation on the 7 Elements. Uschusma then came forward in front of the Tathagata, joined the palms of his 2 hands, prostrated himself with his head at the feet of the Buddha, and declared, "I can still remember that in a very remote eon I was filled with sensual desire. At the time, a Buddha called the King of Immateriality appeared in the world. According to him, those with lustful desires increase their own hell fires. He then taught me to meditate on the bones in my body, on my 4 limbs, and on my warm and cold breaths. So, by turning inwardly the spiritual light for pointed concentration, my lustful mind turned into the fire of wisdom. Since then, I was called Firehead by all the Buddhas. Because of my powerful firelight, samadhi, I attained arhatship. Then I took my great vow to become a demigod or vira, so that when all Buddhas were about to attain enlightenment, I would personally help them to overcome the enmity of Mara. As the Buddha now asks about the best means of perfection, according to my opinion, the best consists in looking into the non-existent heat in my body and mind in order to remove all hindrances thereto and to put an end to the stream of transmigration so that the great precious light can appear and lead to the realization of supreme Bodhi. Dharanimdara Bodhisattva then rose from his seat, prostrated himself with his head at the feet of the Buddha, and declared, "I still remember that formerly, when the Buddha of universal light appeared in the world, I was a bhikshu who used to level all obstacles, build bridges, and carry sand and earth to improve the main roads, ferries, rice fields, and dangerous passes which were in bad condition or impassable to horses and carts. Thus I continued to toil for a long time, in which an uncountable number of Buddhas appeared in the world. If someone made a purchase at the marketplace and required another to carry it home for him, I did it without charge. When this Vabhu Buddha appeared in the world and famine was frequent, I became a carrier charging only 1 coin, no matter whether the distance was long or short. If an ox cart could not move in a bog, I used my supernatural power to push its wheels free. One day the king invited that Buddha to a feast. As the road was bad, I leveled it for him. The Tathagata, this Vabhu, placed his hand on my head and said, 'You should level your mind ground, then all things in the world will be on the same level.' Upon hearing this, my mind opened, and I perceived that the molecules of my body did not differ from those of which the world is made. These molecules were such that they did not touch one another and could not be touched even by sharp weapons. I then awakened to the patient endurance of the uncreate and thereby attained arhatship. Then, by turning my mind inwards, I realized the Bodhisattva stage. And when I heard the Tathagata expound the Buddha's universal knowledge in the profound Lotus Sutra, I was the first listener to be awakened to it, and was made a leader of the assembly. As the Buddha now asks about the best means of perfection, in my opinion, the best consists in looking into the sameness of body and universe, which are created by infection from falsehood arising from the Tathagata store, until this defilement vanishes and is replaced by perfect wisdom, which then leads to the realization of supreme Bodhi. Chandaprabha Bodhisattva then rose from his seat, prostrated himself with his head at the feet of the Buddha, and declared, "I still remember that, in the remoteness of eons countless as the sands of the Ganges, there was a Buddha called Varuna, who appeared in the world and taught bodhisattvas to contemplate the element of water in order to enter into the state of samadhi. This method consists in looking into the body, wherein all watery elements do not by nature suppress one another, using as subjects of meditation first tears and snot, then saliva, secretion, blood, urine, and excrement, and then reversing the order, thereby perceiving that this element of water in the body does not differ from that of the fragrant oceans that surround the Pure Lands of the Buddhas, situated beyond our world. When I achieved this contemplation, I succeeded in realizing only the sameness of the element of water everywhere, but failed to relinquish my view of the body. I was then a bhikshu practicing dhyana, and when my disciple peeped into the room, he saw that it was filled entirely with clear water, without anything else. As he was an ignorant boy, he picked up a broken tile, threw it into the water with a splash, gazed curiously, and left. When I came out of my dhyana state, I suddenly felt pain in my heart, as if I had the same trouble which Sariputra had with a wicked demon. I thought, since I have realized our hardship, I should be free from all causal ailments. Why today, all of a sudden, have I pain in my heart? Is it not a sign of my backsliding? When the boy returned and related what he had seen and done during my meditation, I said, "When next you see water in my room, open the door, enter the water and take away the broken tile." The boy obeyed, for when I again entered the dhyana state, he saw the same broken tile in the water. He then opened the door and removed the tile. When I came out of dhyana, my pain had vanished. Later, I met countless Buddhas before I encountered Sagara, Bharadara, Buddhi, Vikri, Dita, Bijna Buddha, under whose instruction I succeeded in relinquishing the conception of body, thereby realizing perfect union of this body and the fragrant oceans in the 10 directions with absolute voidness, without any further differentiation. This is why I was called the son of a Buddha, and was qualified to attend all bodhisattva meetings. As the Buddha now asks about the best means of perfection, in my opinion, the best consists in achieving the unhindered universalizing pervasion of the element water, thereby realizing the patient endurance of the uncreate, which ensures complete enlightenment. The bodhisattva of crystal light then rose from his seat, prostrated himself with his head at the feet of the Buddha, and declared, "I still remember that once, in the remotest of eons, countless as the sands of the Ganges, there was a Buddha called Infinite Voice, who appeared in the world to reveal to bodhisattvas the profoundly enlightened fundamental awareness, which, by looking into this world and the bodily forms of all living beings, could perceive that all were created by the power of the wind arising from illusory concurrent causes. At the time, I inquired into the illusory setting up of the world, changing time, bodily motion, and motionless, stirring of mind, in other words, all kinds of movement, which were fundamentally the same and did not differ from one another. I then realized that these movements had neither whence to come nor whither to go, and that all living beings in the 10 directions, as uncountable as the dust, came from the same falsehood. Likewise, all living beings in every small world of the great chillicosm were like mosquitoes in a trap, in which they hummed aimlessly and created a mad tumult. Soon after meeting that Buddha, I realized the patient endurance of the uncreate. As my mind opened, I perceived the land of the imperturbable Buddha in the eastern region, where I was admitted as a son of the Dharma King, serving all the Buddhas in the 10 directions. My body and mind gave out rays of light that illumined all the worlds without obstruction. As the Buddha now asks about the best means of perfection, in my opinion, the best consists in looking into the power of the element of wind, which has nothing real on which to rely, thereby awakening to the Bodhi mind so as to enter Samadhi, and then to unite with the profound one mind expounded by the Buddhas in the 10 directions.